Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome to another edition of E-Heroes. Today I'm bringing back Brian Chase, and we last saw Brian back in episode 21. This is episode 114, so it's been 2 years. And the last time we talked about Pintos, partners, and protecting rights. And, I wanted to bring back Brian because, we're in the middle of this pandemic still, and it's just dragging on. But in the last year, Brian came out with this great book, The Second Collision. And I wanted to get his insight on that book, but I also want to get his insight on what's happening now with the baby powder and the Roundup and the airbags that you're all hearing about. So welcome, Brian, and thanks for being here.
Hey, Rob, thanks for having me on, man. It's my pleasure. It's always an honor to do something with you. And congrats on that many podcasts. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Good
I mean,
job.
I had nothing else to do. So,
I know that's not true. You got
That's all
plenty of books of your own.
yeah, all I do is write books and get on podcasts. And but I have a busy schedule. You have a busy schedule. I mean, you're flying all over the place, or you used to. I
Yeah,
don't know if
back
you're
in the
doing so
glory
much
days.
now, but you're big on protecting all those rights. I mean, and we take those rights for granted. And people are using the baby powder and the Roundup, and everybody has airbags in their car nowadays. So, we just don't think about that stuff.
Right. No, we don't. It's true. I've even, what I mean, when I see certain laws passed in certain states that people get behind and they don't realize that they are voting away rights that they have, and they always think it's going to happen to somebody else or affect somebody else, or they just get caught up in the marketing and the spin of a law, a bill, or an initiative. And people just aren't educated enough, and I fault, people like myself and our trial lawyer associations. We try to get the word out, but it's hard to overcome that bias of, well, you're a trial lawyer, you're a damn trial lawyer, and it's tough to overcome. So people are getting hurt and are using products that they shouldn't, and they're not getting the message clear enough or delivered well enough from us.
Yeah, I mean, because I use Roundup all the time, and I didn't even think about it. I'm like, it's just going to kill my plants or kill my whatever.
Yeah,
I didn't know it's going to kill my lungs or anything else, or mutate my cells in any way. I just don't think about that stuff.
right. Or baby powder. I mean, that was marketed brilliantly, right? Smooth enough for a baby's bottom. You
Hmm.
know, um, and look what they've known for over 100 years. 100 years ago, when they were mining that stuff out of the ground, it had a warning for the workers: carcinogenic. And 99+% of what is in a bottle of Johnson and Johnson baby powder, that stuff scooped out of the ground with less than 1% fragrance. But uh, they've marketed that brilliant. It reminds me of, I'm older than you, so you probably won't remember, but when I was in elementary school, the cigarette ads, we didn't know cigarettes were that bad for us back in those days.
Yeah.
It was just kind of coming of age, and they used to market them. You'd have a doctor with his stethoscope on, and the ad was 4 out of 5 doctors recommend Camel. I
Yeah.
mean, they were, nuts. So anyway,
Yeah,
power of
it's
marketing.
yeah, and the thing is some of these doctors they get bought into it,
Yeah.
and the pharmaceutical reps they go to these doctors every single day with enticements, with cupcakes, with donuts, with all kinds of good stuff.
Oh,
And so these
it.
doctors are like, sure, I'll use your stuff. I'll push it out there. And next thing you know, you got 3 million people suffering from something because they use this drug.
Oh, there is no doubt, and I in part fault the doctors, but I in large part don't. They kind of rely on the manufacturer, whether it's Johnson and Johnson or whomever, to do a good job. Hopefully, they start over time realizing maybe there's something going on. But like with the Pinnacle hips, I'm involved in the hip litigation, and they were failing. They knew they were going to have to take them off the market, but it was so profitable for Johnson and Johnson. I got a video of the design surgeon at a conference with a room full of doctors, and he comes out, "What do you think of our $1 billion baby?" And and it's like being at a rally. Everybody's all excited and making a bunch of money, and meanwhile they know it's going to hurt and maim and injure a lot of people and cause unnecessary surgeries. I've
Well,
had had one client recently have to go in to get his hip revised. He died during the operation for a stupid hip.
Yeah, and I think it was just was it yesterday that the news on OxyContin just dropped, and they're going to basically be put out of business, and the government's going to take them over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because they basically helped create this whole opiate uh, pandemic. Because people are so dependent on it.
Right. No, I mean it's bad stuff. The level of, I'm all about, I love corporations. I love people making money. I love big business, but you just got to be a little bit responsible about it. Unfortunately, if they don't tort reform us out, lawyers could help keep them in check. But, I wish, we had a little bit more ethics on some of the stuff we see from the companies, because again, God bless them for making a buck, but
Yeah.
you shouldn't put profit over people.
You know,
There's a line.
let's talk about ethics, because I know that you're you have become this very ethical person. And you have this reputation as being an ethical person. But there's a lot of law firms out there that's all they do is tort reform, or mass torts, and that's great. But you just feel like that's all they want to do, is that they're in it for the money. They're not really in it for to help the consumer.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like anything, whether it's a policeman, a politician, a car salesman, an attorney, a doctor. There's always going to be some bad seeds, and it's too bad. But I know the thing that always drove me was, first and foremost, helping people. And I can tell you, the colleagues that I work with care about
Mhm.
help people. And I think a lot of them do. Obviously, you get money from it, and we get a bad rap for that. But there are the bad seeds out there that want to make a buck. I see it from time to time where they're involved in a mass tort or whatever the case is. They settle the case short for not enough money because they're going to get a ton of money on it.
Mhm.
And you've got 5,000 clients, they're going to not get, they're not going to get a ton of money. They're going to get a little bit of money. So it does happen from time to time. I don't see it as a common problem.
Right.
Um, Fortunately, I see, really good lawyers fighting, because even if they do want to make a bunch of money, they hate they don't like the companies that are causing the harm either. So, they don't want to give them a hall pass. But, from time to time, like anything else, there's some bad seeds. And I've seen cases go down or attempt to go down
Mhm.
for less value than they should. And I think it's just because someone, had some bills to pay or wanted to line their pockets.
Yeah. So, what was the premise of this book?
So what started that was I wrote another book, still unsafe at any speed, following up on Ralph Nader's book about 11 years ago. So about a year ago, so that book was about 10 years old, and there had been some new developments in the law,
Mhm.
in federal standards. I've made some good law out here in California on certain cases, and so I wanted to update the book so it's just more current, because and then I also wanted to broaden it and talk about a few other things. So the other book was identifying auto defects and what to look for. This one still has that in there, but upgraded. But I also talk about some litigation strategies and how I personally go about litigating certain cases and what I look for. So I really I wanted to upgrade the old book and expand upon it and teach people, at least from my perspective, how to try these cases and get better results for your clients.
Yeah, I mean the boomers and the Gen Xers, they've heard about Ralph Nader, but this new generation coming on board, they have no idea.
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
no. I mean, they'll go still on a safe any speed. Where'd you get that name?
Yeah, and then like Ralph who,
Yeah,
who's and but they don't seem to understand that safety is paramount, and to them it's, hey, let's have the convenience of being able to drive our car autonomously, and then we can text in the background or in the back seat or wherever, and
yeah,
to me, I'm still not a fan of autonomous driving.
yeah. Well, I know you know my view on that, so don't get me going on autonomous driving vehicles. And you know, there's one piece of me that I really hate slamming that, because I don't want to sound like Barney Rubble or Fred Flintstone, and I'm stuck in a cave,
Right.
and I'm the guy that would never go to the moon with people like me, because I totally believe in technology. I'm not Barney Rubble, and autonomous cars might be the next best thing someday. Maybe, I'm not going to say it's not. We should keep investigating it. But to have it on the road now, where the technology is not ready, we've seen fatal and very serious crashes where the technology fails. Um, And then the other problem we have, and I hate to admit this, but we fellow human beings do stupid stuff, you know, and at least as those cars are now, they say keep your hands on the steering wheel even if you have it on autonomous mode. But we know people aren't going to do that. They're going to put it on autonomous mode and start, scrolling on their phone and then get in a crash. So, you know, again, someday maybe it'll be figured out. But I think right now it's a bad idea.
The other day I just made a video on um, doing videos while in your car. And I did it years ago, and then I felt this is so unsafe, and I see other people doing it. And what I've been noticing is some local law enforcements, if they see you or see a video of you driving in their jurisdiction filming, they're going to ticket you.
Yeah.
And your people don't understand that. They say, "Well, I got a phone. I can take a picture. Why not?"
Yeah, I mean, look, none of us is perfect. I've done it, and I mean, I'm the last guy that should be doing it, and I'm certainly the last guy that should be admitting it right now. But, I've been on the road, in some really backwoods place, heading out to a deposition. There's nobody around really, and it's just gorgeous. And I want to film a quick video. There's a good song on the radio, and I want to do a little joke video for my wife. And all like, hey, look at these trees, honey, and bam or something. And then a few minutes later, I'm like, well, that was stupid, So, we all do it, but it doesn't mean we should. And they ought to keep citing people.
Yeah, it's and I kind of think that in the future, it's going to be built into our windshield or something, and we can do it while we're driving, but we have to have our hands on the wheel or something.
Yeah, or voice command or something, or maybe don't let them work when we're in our cars. I don't know, I mean, I love the technology and how much we get done now. You remember the days, and I know I certainly remember the days where you're going to be 5 minutes late for a meeting, but you don't want to be 5 minutes late, and you didn't have cell phones. So it's like, well, do I pull off the freeway to a payphone to let them know I'm going to be late, but now I'm going to be 10 minutes late or 15 minutes late if I make that call. And so the technology has really helped us a lot, but it's got some consequences as we're seeing now with all kinds of stuff.
For those listening to this on podcast, in back of Brian, there's a whole bunch of plaques. And I have to admire that because it speaks volumes about, who Brian is, who his firm is. And, his firm is Bisnar Chase in Newport Beach, California. And they're one of the most impressive law firms probably in the United States. And so tell us a little bit about those plaques. I mean, I know that they're for top lawyers but what's the how do you go about getting that? I mean,
so what we have is, and then the other conference room has a bunch of them too. We've got various types of plaques on the wall. Some are, Trial Lawyer of the Year awards that I or other people in the office have gotten for a big verdict. Others are for, president of political associations, and you've got the top lawyer awards. There's various categories where your peers will vote. Either in certain categories of law or like products liability or personal injury more broadly. So, the plaques all have to do with an honor or an award, either earned from, a verdict or work done or your peers voting on you. So, we've been collecting them. Well, we've been around a long time. I kind of don't want to admit that because I still feel like I'm 30 years old, but we've been around a long time. So we've racked up a lot.
Yeah, he's older than dirt. I mean, he's got that original jar of dirt still sitting on his desk. So, they've been around for a long time, and you guys got a good history. And I'm impressed. And very honored to know you.
No, well, thank you. Bisnar started the firm. He's now retired, but he started the firm in 1978. So, it's got to be one of the oldest personal injury firms in the country too. There are a handful that have been around for 100 years, but most of them seems like 10, 20, 30 years old, but we're over 40 years, which is there's not too many around like that. They usually bust up.
Yeah, or they have partners that come and go, and over the years the names change so frequently. You're like, wait a minute, wasn't that like Smith and Associates? Now it's like Donovan Smith, Jacob something, and 15 names later, you're like, could they just shorten that?
Well, and you're right. And I know since your expertise is marketing, and I know that you're very, very good at that and talented at that.
Just a little.
And what you no, you're very good, and you've given me some incredible tips, over the years too, where you catch some, flubs on our end. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. But this name change thing, I mean, I think of law firms that were the big firms when I was in law school 30 years ago, and one of the names might be there, but they're so hodgepodged around, and I'm like, how can you brand your firm when you do that? And people didn't think of branding in the old days. Marketing, we were a profession, not a business. Bullshit. We're a business. But I've got two partners now, but they're not name partners because it's going to be Bisnar Chase, and Bisnar's gone, and everybody's like, why didn't you take his name off? I'm like, well, like if you have Coca-Cola, I'm going to take off Coca and call myself Cola. I go, we're branded, and it's going to be Bisnar Chase forever. For whatever that's worth, well, unless, when I am kicking up dirt, some of the other guys come along and think otherwise. But I think people do appreciate, when you've got it. I mean, you think that the plaintiffs' law firms, I think it's all ego. We all have an ego and we want our name on them. But you think of the big international business litigation firms. I mean, Gibson, Dunn and Crutcher, right? It's been that forever. They're probably all dead. They got to be. Old Melvin and Myers. You think of the big firms. They appreciate branding and stability for all the corporate work they do. The guys that do what I do, I think they're just, they don't think long term on branding. They want their name on the wall.
Yeah, and the thing about changing your name constantly is all the money that you have to now put into rebranding that name to build you back up, because people don't know who you are. So if Bisnar Chase changed their name and it was added a whole bunch of names to it, people are like, well, who's that? Is it Bisnar Chase? Is it something different? I don't trust these new people. What's going on?
Right. No, 100% agree. As long as I have a vote in it, and right now I have the 100% vote, it ain't changing.
So, but you have a quite a team though. How many work for you now?
Yes, we've got nine lawyers and about 30 support staff, give or take.
Wow.
And so we do have a big team, and it was never a goal to have 30 lawyers or 5 lawyers. It's just kind of been a natural fit, it seems like, where we are now. Although we are, it is getting bigger and bigger every year, a little bit, or every few years. We are seeing some growth in some areas because I'm broadening out, because it's a business.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the auto defect cases. And if I knew I was going to be able to do auto defects for the rest of my career, I wouldn't branch out into this mass tort stuff and all the other things I'm doing. But, cars are getting safer, and, it'd be nice not to have any auto defect businesses and deal with dead kids and paralyzed people. The firm is growing, but the main reason of the growth is we're branching into the consumer class actions and the mass tort stuff, like you touched on.
When COVID hit, though, drivers didn't get on the road, and roads seemed to be safer, and which was great, and nobody died, but now people are getting comfortable. They're putting their masks on, or they're just venturing out, and they feel like, what, I'm tired. I don't care about COVID anymore. I just need to get out and go to work or do stuff. But now the roads are getting busier, and people are getting accidents because they're not paying attention.
Yeah.
But are the courts even open?
Yeah, many of them aren't. I'm proud to say, at least in Orange County, we just, I've got a young associate here, Tom Antunovich. I'll give him a little plug. He's a, new lawyer. I'm not new. He's been like 3-4 years, 5 years, something like that. But he just had a trial. Orange County has got 5 courtrooms open, which is not a lot, but at least they're getting some trials. But, San Diego, LA, San Bernardino, all the courthouses out here closed, and most of the courthouses are closed. And it's, it's terrible. It's hard to get, most cases settle, so it's not a big deal. But the handful of cases that just can't settle, without a trial, those people are not getting justice.
Yeah.
And
I think the insurance companies have taken advantage of that situation, because they know that the courts aren't open. So if you want to wait till the courts are open, to try to sue, great. But most of them don't want to, so they'll just settle for a lesser amount, which is terrible.
Oh yeah, because you've got. I mean, think about it. You and I are very lucky that we can work during a pandemic. I could come to the office. We can work remotely, and my office is more or less remote, but people come in if they need to be in for a certain reason. But there's folks that just lost their job. and
Mhm.
are losing losing their what. And so if they happen to have a PI case, they're settling it for 50 cents on the dollar now. The insurance companies know they can get away with it because they know many of our clients are unemployed, facing bankruptcy, and they're going to take whatever they can get. So yeah, it's bad for our civil justice system. Doesn't surprise me insurance companies taking advantage of it. I mean, we need insurance, but they like to they like to save their money.
So if I get in an accident in, Newport Beach or anywhere in California and I reach out to you, what's the process? What's the steps that I have to go through or you take me through to finally get to that point where, we go to trial?
Yeah, well, what I try to do is any client, whether it's a minor injury or a catastrophic injury, either way, it's an injury. People are in pain. Their nerves are shot. They don't want to deal with it. So I really don't want the clients to do anything. I try to say you focus on healing because your number one priority is not your lawsuit. Your number one priority is your health. Do what your doctors say, physical therapy, whatever the case may be, and let us take over. So really, after we have you sign up and sign all the relevant documents that allow us to get police reports and medical records or whatever type of things we need, I tell you, you stay home and heal, and then we do the case. And every 30 days, if we don't talk, we make sure we talk to everybody every 30 days. We don't ever want you to not talk to us. Sometimes we call you every week because we have questions. But at a minimum, even if we don't have a question, we touch base so they know we're working on their file every 30 days. And, we gather the medical records. Then we'll make a demand to the insurance company. If we can
Mhm.
settle the case, great. Many do. Litigation's fun for guys like me, but it's not fun for clients. I'd rather be in trial every day. But, it's expensive and it's risky. And if we can't settle the case, we file the lawsuit and then we go that route. And then after you do that, many of those cases ultimately settle. And, I try to have as little client involvement as possible with regard to the process because it's stressful for them. But some clients want to be really involved, and that's good too, because, especially if the case is going to trial, I need to know you, and I will typically, when I have a trial coming up or even before a deposition on a case, I'll go to your house. I'll spend 3 or 4 hours with you, take you out to dinner, have lunch with you. I really want to get to know you and your family because how can I talk about you if I just, know you from the telephone?
You seem though to shine while you're in trial. You're not the typical person that just wants to settle. You want to fight.
Well, and I'm shining right now. There's your shiny joke. There you go. That's what I do in court, right there.
I wasn't going to say anything.
I know, no, but you know what? For those that don't know you, and I'm sure most on the podcast do, you are the most witty, sarcastic guy. I love reading your stuff. I just, I spit copy out of my mouth in the morning when I'm reading posts. So there's no piece of me that didn't know that was a setup. Okay, you're sitting there and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to say he shines in court, and you're going to see if I take the bait, and I did. I heard, I know, but no, trial work is fun. That's where it's fun because I think most of us we really feel our fullest when we're a little scared, when we're stretched, mentally, emotionally, when we're taking risks. All that preparation, facing your fears. I've always taught my children, face your fears. And courtroom has all of that. You're walking into a courtroom full of fear, but also full of bravery, and full of self-confidence. And you've got this mix of emotions. And then once it starts, you're not full of fears when you're driving in. But it is so fun, the adrenaline to just go through a day of trial. And, if you get lucky with a witness and get a good cross-exam and a good Perry Mason moment, which doesn't happen as often as it does on TV. But, when it happens, it's great. So I love being in trial. It's fun. It's a roller coaster of emotions. And, you can't be a good personal injury attorney if you haven't tried a bunch of cases because you can't take a deposition. Unfortunately, they teach us backwards. Well, you have to do depositions before you go to trial. Well, until you've been in trial, you don't know how shitty your depositions are, and they're useless. So, you really need to try. I think, my first 10, 15 cases, after I had 10 or 15 trials under my belt, I realized, oh, that's what a deposition's for. I'm not just supposed to ask the guy what he had for breakfast and what time he went to bed at night. And after you try cases and get some verdicts, insurance companies know that, and that helps you just resolve your cases for more money for your client and do a good job. So really starts in the courtroom, and for most trial lawyers, that's the fun place. I mean, people that do what I do, they love going to court. Otherwise, they're out, drafting documents and pushing paper.
Yeah. Was there was there one case that really scared the bejesus out of you?
I shouldn't admit this because I notice all my contemporaries, it seems like when they're asked a question like that, no, they're all good. No, 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 no. It's always kicking ass. I mean, I'm nervous on all of them, but I just know that that's me. I know, I know when I'm working a case up, if it's a great case or not, or a bad case, and what the problems are. And I know I'm probably going to win it, but it doesn't matter. When you're picking that jury, even if you have the best case, I've got a room of 50 or 100 people. I'm going to pick 12 of them and two alternates to judge my client's fate. And you don't know who they are. You don't know if they're super conservative, super liberal, love lawyers, hate lawyers, and the things that people say to you, during jury selection. So you're sitting here with, a bunch of money invested in the case. Your client's fate is in your hands, and you have people telling you all this negative, nasty stuff. It's fun, but it's, so they all scare me initially because I don't know what I'm going to get on that jury. And then, I've had cases I've won. It's like, man, how did I win that? And then likewise, I've had cases I've lost. Like, how did I lose that? So there's not a lot of rhyme or reason to it. I'm nervous for all of them, but that just makes me outwork everybody. There's nobody that'll outwork me. I always say I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. What takes me 5 or 10 hours to learn might take you 2. But after I got it, I can spin it better than anybody. So I just have to work harder.
Yeah, and that's why I love interviewing you, and that's why I think you're one of the coolest e-heroes that I've ever interviewed, because you're real. You admit stuff, where other people would just say, yeah, I got it.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, there are challenges, and every hero, whether it be a lawyer, a doctor, even a carpet cleaner, which I once was, I think has to share their joys and their fears, because
Yeah.
it helps you win trust with your audience better.
Yeah, no, it does. And I really feel, especially, I don't know if I was that candid 20 or 30 years ago, from no one wanted to interview me 20 or 30 years ago. But I know now that, I really want to the people that whenever I'm speaking on any platform, I want the young lawyers to know it's okay to be afraid. That doesn't mean you suck. It's okay to be nervous. That doesn't mean you suck. You know, the people that I used to watch 20, 30 years ago, they wouldn't tell me they were afraid. And I used to like, man, what's wrong with me? Now I got good results. So I figured, okay, I'm just a nervous Nelly, but I'm always going to be okay and overcome it. So I really like to be candid about it because I think, most lawyers, you know, have a fear factor. And I'm not now, I don't want to oversell it like we're just shriveling here with paranoid with fear. No, I mean, I'm driving down to court and I want to kick some butt and I'm looking forward to it. But, in the back of your head, a lot of things can go wrong.
Yeah.
So I like to share that because I want younger lawyers to know, hey, it's okay to admit that. It's okay to own that. Just don't let it consume you. Deal with it. Figure out however you're going to deal with it. For me, it's preparation. By the time I get done preparing, I'm like, not afraid now because you can't get me. Yeah.
But you still give back to the community, and that was something that we talked about 2 years ago. Is that no matter how you win a case, you're still going to go back there and give back to the community, and that's what I think. That's what really makes your law firm stand out.
I've got a great, group of folks, and the office administrator, Shannon Barker, she does such a great job at coming up with, great causes for us to get involved in. And it's important to give back. And I think, the more you give, the more you get. That's not the reason you do it, but it's just, we should all help each other. We should, stay hungry, but stay humble. I still feel like I'm a baby lawyer, but my office does a great job with, I'm so proud of them, and I wish I could take credit for it. I had some ideas 10, 15 years ago, but they've taken it to a new level. For example, they've got backpacks. We've got hundreds of backpacks stocked with, toothbrush, a brush, a T-shirt, just various things, and people keep them in their car. And when they see a homeless person on the corner, they roll down the window and they hand it to them.
Mhm.
And we give out these backpacks to people with some neat things. Um, my office was in even during COVID in here, literally knitting homemade, beanies for, I don't know, military veterans or homeless veterans or something like that. And they've just come up with the neatest ways to give back to the community. And even talking about it now, I mean, I get goosebumps. I mean, that's it's just so important to do that kind of stuff. And I'd love to take credit for it, but I've got team members that are just so dialed in on that and have taken it to a whole level that makes me proud.
Yeah, it's, and I think COVID has really, shifted the way people think. It's shifted emotions. It's but it's given people new anxiety, and so people that were afraid to do certain things now are even more afraid to do things.
Yeah,
But and the people that didn't give a crap are still going out and doing stuff and
yeah,
making all the people with anxieties even more crazy. But it's just been this constant battle to get the economy back together, and it's hard,
no,
and so,
it's such a bad time right now for us. And I believe in people. I think we're all good. We're all so divided right now. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of good people out there, but I know they are. It's like when I pick juries. I don't care if you're the antithesis of me and you hate lawyers. Everybody has got a soul. Everybody. Sometimes you got to really keep peeling away at that onion, but everybody has one. You have to figure out a way to resonate with it. So we'll all overcome this, but I just hate the fighting right now. If you're a Biden supporter or a Trump supporter, there's all reasons to not be your friend anymore and to hate you.
yeah,
And and do you wear a mask or not wear a mask? And it's just, man,
yeah.
we should be able to agree to disagree and still get along with business. But you're right. I mean, the economy right now, a lot of people are hurting. And
Yeah,
I feel terrible for
and I look around and even in your state, Disneyland, Universal Studios, a lot of the amusement parks aren't allowed to open.
them. Yeah,
Right now, people want to get out. They need to be able to do stuff that they used to do, and even if you have to mask up, get out there, you know, have some fun. But they
yeah,
can't. And now, what Disney just laid off 28,000 people.
yeah. And I think in Disney World, I believe in Florida is open, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
So it's kind of interesting. What we're noticing is in red states, you have fans at sporting events, and Disney World is open. In blue states, no fans, and those things are closed. And I don't want to get in a political fight about that because then everybody will, half the people will hate me. Um, and I don't know what the answers are on that, but I do. I agree with you. People want to get out. My wife and I, we went to Cabo for our anniversary last month. I said, look, we just got to get on a plane and be out. We'll be,
Hmm.
we can sanitize up and wear a mask and do everything and stay 6 feet away. We don't have to go, hugging and kissing people and high fiving people because you got to live your life because there's so much negativity and downside to sitting in your cave all day. And I think with regard to Disneyland, people now I think could take responsibility for themselves,
Hmm.
and we should just be big boys and girls and protect ourselves. And
Well, most of the amusement parks, when you walk in, when you buy your ticket, they have disclaimers. They're not responsible if you get sick, but they still encourage you to wear masks and take these steps. And you know, you're
yeah,
gonna.
and it's frustrating, and I think if people are just responsible, like my mom, she's in her 80s, and if I have like when I went down to Mexico, I didn't go see her for 14 days because I mean, I'm not
Right.
going to. It'd probably kill her, because she's got really bad lungs. She used to get walking pneumonia her whole life whenever she got a cold. So,
Wow.
I'm smart. I don't go around my parents if I've done something like that, and I think I would certainly hope most people would do that.
Yeah.
And fortunately, it looks like statistically the rest of us are okay.
But what happens in a couple of years when we find out all the hand sanitizers is causing cancer?
Watch a big new store. No, I know. And yeah, I should be more worried about that than I didn't even think of. Well, I kind of thought about it, but you're right. Who thought baby powder that we used to use for our kids and babies when we're changing their diapers, could cause cancer. So yeah, watch the sanitizer be a whole new mass tort. We all end up having to get our hands amputated. That'll be a bitch.
Yeah, well, in most states, I think they have COVID immunity, so I think that's going to be a moot point anyway.
Actually, I haven't looked at who manufactures the
Well,
hand sanitizer I use. I gotta
yeah,
see.
there's so many of them though, and some people already have an allergic reaction to certain ingredients, and when they're forced to go into stores and told that they have to put this stuff on their hands, they're already like, wait a minute, I already sanitized with my own stuff in the car. Now you're telling me that I don't know what's in that bottle,
Yeah.
that bottle that's been touched by 300 people before me.
Right. Nope. I hear you. So it's
Yeah,
crazy times, Rob. Crazy times.
it's crazy. But how do people get a hold of you? Where do they go? How do they get a hold of, do they go to the website? Do they go to Facebook? How do they find you?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think probably the easiest way is, our web address is bestattorney.com. That's probably the easiest way, bestattorney.com. And if anybody, for whatever reason, wants to email me directly, I'll give you my email address. I'm happy to talk to anybody and work with anybody. And my email is the letter B, like Brian B. Chase, Chase, at bisnarchase.com. And it's BISNAR chase.com.
Not the shiny head guy.
Well, he is today, it wasn't shiny when I was in my other room, but I had bad Wi-Fi. So I think you did it on purpose because you thought, you know what? That's a pretty cool backdrop for Chase. I want to humiliate him today, and I'm going to be sarcastic and talk about how he shines in court. Thanks for nothing, buddy.
See, this is actually why I bring everybody onto these shows, so I can make fun of them.
Yeah, that's good. And you do it well. And it's not even offensive. For some reason, I still like you.
I only have 3 friends. You're one of them.
It's the gift, brother.
Oh, that's it. That's the end of the show. We'll see you on the next episode.
Hey,
Thank you very much.
Thanks, buddy.